Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. There have been some major changes with the Persistent Universe roadmap for 2020, and we recently covered the 3.9 changes, the patch for Q1 2020, links below to that if you haven't seen it yet. But what about the other patch that they are actively working on as part of their staggered development process? I want to take a look at Star Citizen Alpha 4.0, the patch that's expected to go live at the end of Q2 2020, the end of June. What's been removed and what's the focus for this patch? So various features were removed, and let's start with that. So they haven't been updated on the roadmap where they're going to land either, because they're either for 4.1 or later, and because they haven't updated the roadmap past 4.0, we don't know where they're going to fall yet. So atmospheric combat ship AI has been removed, though the AI 3D pathfinding, planetside and navigation collision avoidance AI features have now appeared in 3.9. So really, we're getting the first implementation of that feature earlier rather than later, if you see what I mean. Flight AI and FPS AI improvements and polishing have both been removed from 4.0, and that seems reasonable because those features need to be split down into other features to better represent CIG's goals and progress at this stage. Core flight and FPS AI are just not ready to be finished and polished, but they are going to break down those features into other features in the future. Zero-G push and pull, the ability to help propel yourself around terrain and the environment using your body, that's been moved off the roadmap. Npc Healing, the ability to use Medi and Oxy pens on NPCs or other players, has been removed. I was hoping as well with that feature that you'd see other medical equipment as well, but it's a shame because it looked like we were going to see a few more medical mechanics in the short term with the addition of Medibeds in 3.8.1. I was hoping we'd see more and more and more, but we'll have to see where they move that feature to. Multi-crew, expanded pilot, and turret gunner role features have been removed. Though apparently there is a focus on multi-crew and group gameplay this year, it appears that CIG want to split these updates and the plans for multi-crew and multi-role gameplay stuff in the medium term, so we should see some new features on the roadmap to reflect this in the future and CIG's new goals for those features. The GP33 FPS grenade launcher has also slipped off the roadmap, so in regard to things getting removed, it's not really that much stuff that's getting removed. In fact, some of that's getting removed is just being moved into other features or has already been released, well, should have already been released in 3.9. What about what is in 4.0 though? So a lot of features were moved from 3.9 to 4.0. We've got AI for combat weapon types for FPS. So basically this is different loadouts for NPCs with the knowledge how to use those weapons and gear more effectively. There's FPS cover usage version 1 as well. So this is the ability for AI to use different cover types, be aware of the cover, and move between it appropriately. Death animation improvements, combining updated ragdoll properties with the animation system to make death reactions of players and NPCs more realistic. We also have all the weapons that were in 3.9 pushed into 4.0 here. So the Gemini C54 ballistic SMG, the Electron pistol, the Electron sniper rifle, and for ships, the Sledge mass driver weapon revisions there as well. There were a few completely new features added to 4.0 as well. Body dragging, well, I say entirely new, and this was originally just in the Squadron 42 roadmap, and this is the functionality for the player to move an incapacitated or dead NPC, or assumedly player, by dragging the body around an environment. Now, this is supposed to eventually sort of like tie into medical gameplay, where you will be dragging people around to get them to safety, to stabilize them, that sort of stuff, which is one of the reasons I was surprised to see that the Npc Healing feature had actually been moved off 4.0. And remember that we've got the ability to stun people with stun damage now as well with fisticuffs, so that might tie into that. Ship HUD rework is also new here, using the new building blocks UI system to make some much needed HUD and UI improvements for ships, but also expect these UI systems and the building block system to be used to build out, you know, elevator panels and interactive panels and that sort of stuff. They want to move away where they can from the inner thought system and have stuff a bit more diegetic and tactile. Quantum travel linking for AI ships, so NPCs will also be able to request and provide escort services and quantum travel with associated players. This should open up a whole host of new missions and is actually pretty cool to see, and to be honest, is something they probably should have had before they put in, or before they try and put in, the sort of like dynamic mission system and dynamic economy, because it's sort of part of that. They want ships, AI ships, to be able to request escorts, to be able to travel with you, for you to be able to move around the verse, for these missions to pop up in places. So those are the major changes to 4.0, but what other features does the patch still have? There's Crusader, or Stanton 2, a low-mass gas giant that has an atmosphere that's breathable at high altitudes. And because of that, you will see Horizon, which is the landing zone there, a floating cloud city with beautiful shipyards. So there's going to be like gardens and shops and cabs and all that sort of stuff there. Stuff that you would expect to see at any of the major landing zones. But yeah, there's the Crusader shipyards there as well, which if you wanted to adjust a large Crusader ship, sort of like change its capital size components or large components out, then that's the sort of place that you would need to do that. There's going to be points of interest and missions tied around Crusader as well. It's going to be the first time we see gas giant planetary tech in game. It's expected with the focus on Crusader and Horizon that you might see the rest of the Crusader ships at some point in 2020 as well. So like the Genesis Starliners and the Starlifter and Starrunner, even the new Ares. It sort of makes sense because they have the architecture and the branding and all of that sort of stuff to go with it, is the idea, and the shipyards. But there's also going to be some new mission givers at Crusader, so Lisa Gibbs and Devon Batista, who are community outreach officers for Crusader Security, and will give you security, lawful focused missions from their office in Horizon. But yeah, Floating Cloud City, all sounds pretty cool. New gas cloud giant tech. There's also going to be the Npc Scheduler, which adds and removes NPCs to the game, dynamically spawning them in and out based on NPC archetype, determining the maximum number of NPCs in a given area based on ratios of players in the area and server performance. This is also based on the probabilities of seeing any given NPC archetype, and really is linked again to the dynamic economy systems that have been shown in the Quanta. All this will spawn in and physicalize NPCs when appropriate. NPCs will need to spawn at a spawn locker at landing zones, spawning in a hidden location that is impassable by a player, like by an invisible barrier or an air shield or something, or a turnstile that players can't use. And then those NPCs will be able to spawn and despawn there appropriately without breaking your immersion. FPS AI Combat Behavior versions 2 is here as well, creating varied and believable combat behaviors for enemy AI to adopt in battle. The AI will not only use a variety of weapons to create different combat situations, but will have different ways to engage the player, whether in group or solo. This task also includes creating varying levels of combat training and skill sets for specific areas or situations. So you'll have some people that are military trained, and you'll have some scrubs that don't know how to use a weapon properly. Ship-to-ship docking is also here, so this is adding the ability to dock and spawn vehicles connected to space stations. This functionality is required for some larger ships to spawn at certain locations, such as like the 890 Jump and the Reclaimer. If you don't want to be spawning them planet-side, you'll be spawning them at stations that have the appropriate docking facilities, is the idea there. It's also expected, at least by me, that ships and vehicles spawning inside each other could come with this feature as well. So you'd be able to spawn your Pisces inside your Carrack and that sort of stuff without having to spawn them both separately and then put one inside the other. The security system. So this is going to be controlling access to areas and objectives based on various factors and reputation, ownership, keycards, faction, rep, all that sort of stuff. It will automatically issue warnings for people breaking the law if you're in a security system that is sort of like law-abiding. If ignored, that could flag you as a criminal to security forces or get you in bad rep with pirates or whatever. New shield systems. So this is the replacement of the legacy shields with the new sign distance field tech, and the idea here is that you have dynamic form-fitting visual effects for the shields and improved performance for collisions. This promises to also fix a load of problems that shields have, like shield holes and that sort of stuff as well, but it will look great is the idea. Server to client actor networking rework. Now, this is much needed improvements to the downstream part of the actor networking systems responsible for communicating actor state from the server down to clients. This will improve the positioning and movement of other players and NPCs on your client, with improved dead reckoning, helping to reduce perceived lag and instances of rubber banding. The hope is to also have better hit reg, lower the added animation delay from 250 milliseconds, which it currently is, to a fraction of that, and help eliminate desync. It is much needed and obviously a prerequisite of getting server meshing in the game. It's also going to be seen as sort of like ongoing improvements to server-side object container streaming, all that sort of stuff. And that's sort of it for what's listed in 4.0 currently. However, I would expect a ship or vehicle in here as well, maybe something straight to flyable. Typically, CIG want to get 2 ships or so, or maybe a ship sort of like Rework, maybe something straight to flyable, maybe something off the big backlist of ships that they need to get done in each patch. Also, there are various other content that we might see as well in the form of new missions, commodities, gear, improvements, variations, and additional gameplay that might also appear in this patch too. There's also quite a lot of content for this patch, and after Crusader is added, then really all the Stanton system needs to be considered complete is jump gates and the Aaron Halo. And I say sort of like kinda complete, I suppose, because there's going to be loads of stuff that they want to improve with any of the systems that they put in game now. New points of interest, they want to add the dynamic economy and mission systems, they're going to keep on improving their tech, so they're going to constantly see updates to anything they put in the game, whatever. But what do you think? Are you happy with the roadmap changes for 4.0? Do you think any of those features will get pushed back from 4.0 to later? Do you think we'll see more features that aren't currently on there? What are you most excited about with Star Citizen for this year, potentially, that we might see? Or, I suppose, what are you most excited for Star Citizen in general? Is the progress they are making too slow on the persistent universe for you? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month, we have a ship giveaway for January 2020. It's for an Anvil Arrow and Star Citizen game package. Just comment on any of my videos made this month to be in for a chance. More details in the description below. Oh, it's time to shill. If you're looking for a VPN, then consider NordVPN. They have many advantages over free VPNs, but are incredibly cheap, and I use them and can recommend. There's Shadow as well, which is an alternative to owning your own gaming PC. They give you a sort of Windows 10 environment focused on gaming, and it leverages the power of your internet and their cloud so that you can stream it to any device or other PC or laptop or phone or whatever. And you can now order systems with varying scales of hardware for up to 4K gaming, and as always, it works fantastically well with Star Citizen. It's an extremely affordable way to get access to a high-spec PC. Links below to Shadow and Nord, and make sure you use the code BoredGamer to get a discount. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to support my channel further, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member via the join button, or sharing my videos, or liking and subscribing. Take care, and I'll see you in the verse.